Hello, everybody. Today we are talking about the defense forces of India. As we know, the government runs the country. The government runs the country. The judiciary protects the laws. The government also makes the laws. So, who is responsible for protecting all those things? The defense forces. The territories are saved by the defense forces and are of three types: army, navy, and air force. What are the defense forces? A defense force is an organization of defenders that provides resistance against attack. Resistance against attack, and India, in this believes in non-violence. It only attacks when it is attacked by another country. In the 1971 war only, the Pakistan attacked India. Therefore, India declared a war against Pakistan. Thus, India is a peace loving country and do not fight wars, but still having a defense force is mandatory, not because of that reasons, but because any country can attack anytime. In India, the defense forces are the military forces that protect the country from external forces. The defense forces or the services in India consist of four professional uniformed services. One I have missed here just because it is not the prominent one. It is the India Indian Coast Guard services. Coast Guard services. This basically protects the coast, means the eastern coast and the western coast. For example, let's say this is the Deccan part of India. So this all part is the coast that is connected with the sea route. It's protected by coast guard. For example, if the enemy is attacking from this side from the sea, navy will be present, but its submarines will be underwater, and if they cannot detect it, there are some land forces for the coast as well. These are known as Indian Coast Guard services. Therefore, this is not the prominent one, as this acts only when the Indian Navy falls or fails to detect the enemy sites, and even when the Navy is not able to attack in the water. Not only the water, but if the enemy attacks from the water and it crosses the seas and entered the land, so who will save it? Indian Navy's job is to serve in the water only. So who will save? It's Indian Coast Guard services only. Now let's take a look on the three prominent different defense forces in India. Firstly, Indian Army, which fights on the land. Indian Navy, which fights on in water. The Indian Air Force, the most prominent one, which fights at the not the most prominent according to me only, as because in Indian Army only it helps, in Indian Navy it also helps. So it is the according to me it's a prominent, but officially it's not the prominent. All the three defense forces are equal and are good at their respective jobs. Indian Army. The motto of Indian Army. Firstly, before taking a look at the equivalent ranks, let's take a look on the mottos. Yes, Army. For Army, we have the motto Seva Parmo Dharma, which means service before self. Means the army is surely dedicated to its work. Then Navy. Sham no Varuna. Sham no Varuna. Maybe the spelling of Shamna is wrong. Sorry for that. It's the meaning of this is the may the god of water or the may the lord of water be auspicious on us. as because they fight on water in water and with extremely high temperature in the submarines. So therefore the motto is may the Lord of Water be auspicious on us. Air Force. It is Nabha Nabha Sparsham Dipta, which means um which means sorry, which means Air Force, sorry, Air Force is the highest glory of the sky. Sky is the highest glory. Maybe wrong something. Let me check. Now, equivalent ranks in all the forces. As we know, there are some officers rank. There are almost 10 officers rank in all the three forces and are interlinked with it as because they are at the same stage. For example, lieutenant in Indian Army is equivalent to sub lieutenant in Indian Navy, and the flying officer is equivalent to sub lieutenant and lieutenant. Means lieutenant is equal to sub lieutenant and flying officer. Flying officer is equals to sub lieutenant and lieutenant. Sub lieutenant is equals to lieutenant and flying officer. Then captain, lieutenant, flight lieutenant, major, LD or lieutenant, commander, squadron leader, lieutenant colonel, commander. It's an increasing order. This is increasing. Lieutenant colonel, commander, wing commander, colonel सिलेक्शन होता है इन सब के लिए कर्नल फॉर these type of ranks in which we become COs. So in all these three ranks, we need a selection. Means there's a different exam for this, which in which lieutenant colonels in army can opt and commander can opt, wing commander can opt, captain in Indian Navy, group captain in Indian Air Force. Colonel is a time scale. For example, time scale. It's a time scale event. Brigadier, Commodore, Air Commodore. Major General, Rear Admiral, and Air Vice Marshal. Lieutenant General, Vice Admiral, Air Marshal. At the last, General, Admiral, Air Chief Marshal. After this, also we have Field Marshal in Indian Army, in Indian Navy, Fleet, sorry, Admiral of the Fleet in Indian Navy, the highest Air Chief Marshal only. Then in Indian Navy, these are the ranks, or we can say stars that are put on our shoulders after we are promoted to or promoted to another rank. Or if we are officers, we start from lieutenant. These are the two stars. Captains have three stars, one emblem for major. Lieutenant colonel, one emblem and star. Two stars and one emblem and one insignia in the collar. Brigadier, three stars, one emblem, one star. These type of uh, emblem, these type of marks, star, emblem. Same goes for Indian Air Force and Indian Navy. Let's take a look at the let's take a detailed look in all the three forces. Indian Navy and sorry, Indian Army. The Indian Army is a land-based branch of Indian Armed Forces. It is the world's second largest sorry, it is the world's second largest standing army and the largest army. The President of India is the Supreme Commander. Who is the Supreme Commander? The President of India is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Army. And it is commanded by the Chief of Army Staff COAS, who is a four-star general. Two battalion, five-star rank is the Field Marshal. Five-star rank is the Field Marshal. Two battalions of the Indian Army have been awarded the Nations in Conflict Peacekeeping Medal. The Indian Army has a regimental system. This is a photo. But it is operationally and geographically split into seven commands, with its basic field information being a division. It is an all volunteer force and comprises more than 81,000 active troops and a support element of close to 1 10 100 1000 lakh 10 lakh. 11 lakh 60,000 troops. The primary objective of the Indian Army is to safeguard the nation's territorial integrity from external aggression and threats and maintain peace and security within borders. It conducts humanitarian rescue operations during natural calamities and other restlessness like Operation Surya Hope, and can also be recognized by the government to assist in national emergencies. Means it can, like when emergencies are held, police and armies are given controls, and in case of emergency, army can also come in the civil areas to protect, as because there are many types of dangi in while emergencies in the 1975 in emergency also, sorry, 1975 emergency also, there was a huge danga. Indian Air Force. Now, Indian Air Force, the Indian Air Force is the air arm of the Indian Armed Forces. Its primary mission is to, sorry, I failed to share the establishment date. It's 1885, 15 January. Establishment date, it is not given, I think. It's a 15 January 1885. 15 January 1805. Establishment date. Its primary mission is to secure Indian airspace and to conduct aerial warfare during armed conflict. It was officially established on 8th October. This is the day in which we celebrate Air Force Day, 8th October 1932, as an auxiliary force of the British Empire, which honored the India's aviation service during World War II with the prefix Royal. After India gained independence from United Kingdom in 1947, the name Royal Indian Air Force was kept and served in the name of Dominion of India. With a transition to a republic in 1950, the prefix Royal was removed. It was a prefix Royal that was removed, and it is now Indian Air Force only, not the Royal Indian Air Force. Since 1950, the Indian Air Force has been involved in four wars with neighboring Pakistan. Other major operations undertaken by the Indian Air Force include Operation Vijay, Operation Meghdoot, Operation Cactus, Operation Pumalai. The Indian Air Force mission expanded beyond engagement with hostile forces, with the IAF participating in the United Nations peacekeeping missions. The President of India holds the rank of Supreme Commander of the IAF. As of 1 July 2017, 1,70,576 personnel are in service with the Indian Air Force. The Chief of Army, the Chief of the Air Staff and Air Chief Marshal is a four-star officer and is responsible for the bulk of operational command of the Air Force. There is never more than one serving ACM, which is the Air Chief Marshal, at any given time in the Indian Air Force. The rank of Marshal of the Air Force, yeah, has been conferred by the President of India on the occasion in history to Arjun Singh. Arjun Singh. The Marshal of Air Force, this I didn't recognize that time, but it is the highest rank. Like it, we have Admiral of Fleet as the highest rank, five-star rank. We have Field Marshal over here. Mm, so in this also we have a highest rank, which is the Marshal of the Air Force. It is the Marshal of Air Force. Has been conferred. It is conferred to whom? Arjun Singh in one occasion in history. On 26 January 2002, Singh became the first and so far only five-star rank officer of the IF. And if we talk about army, it was General Field Marshal. For the rank of Field Marshal, it was General Sam Manekshaw. And for the second position, it was General K.M. Kariappa, who was the first general of Indian Army too. General K.M. Kariappa. He was the first general of army and the second CDS, Field Marshal of Indian Army. Arjun Singh, who is the one and only Marshal of the Air Force since 2000, for 2002, he became the first and so far only five-star rank officer of the Indian Air Force. Indian Navy, known for its ships, battle rounds, Vikrant INS Vikrant, known for INS Vikrant, airships, Vikramaditya, is Indian Navy. The Indian Navy is the maritime branch of the Indian Armed Forces. The President of India is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Army. And look, President of India is the Supreme Commander of Indian Navy too. But we couldn't recognize, forget this point that President is the Supreme Commander of all the forces also, means all the armed forces are under president, and he or she who is holding the post of president is the supreme commander of all the forces. Now currently she is Draupadi Murmu Draupadi Murmu. The President of India is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Navy, as we know. The Chief of Naval Staff, a four-star admiral, commands the Navy as a blue water navy. It operates significantly in the Persian Gulf region, the Horn of Africa, the Strait of Malacca, and it routinely conducts anti-piracy operations and partners with other navies in the region. It also conducts routine 2 to 3 month long deployments in the South and East China seas as well as in the Western and Mediterranean Sea simultaneously. The primary objective of the Navy is to safeguard the nation's maritime borders, like I told. Maritime borders are not the coast borders. Therefore, for coast borders, we have Indian Coast Guard Services. We have Indian Coast Guard Services for a specific task in case of what do we say? Coast. The primary objective, this we have read, and is to safeguard the nation's maritime borders, and in conjunction with other, conjunction means junction between the, as the name suggests, joining to others with other armed forces of the union, act to deter or defeat any threats or aggression against the territories, people, or maritime interest of India, both in war and peace. Through joint exercises, like India and America conduct joint exercises, India and other neighboring countries, other countries also have joint exercises, goodwill visits, and humanitarian missions, including disaster relief. As because disasters can be spreaded or caused anytime. Tsunamis can come anytime. Tsunamis due to tectonic plates activities under the oceans. So disaster reliefs has to be conducted near coast or the beaches. Near beaches also it should be conducted so that the people enjoying there couldn't be harmed by the tsunami or any other tectonic activity that is going on or happening in the oceans or under the water bodies. The Indian Navy promotes bilateral relations with between nations. Bilateral relations means दोनों के साथ relation है nations के साथ, जैसे India and America conduct joint exercises, and with other countries also they conduct joint exercises. Now, the post of CDS, it was created in 2019 so that for example आर्मी एयरफोर्स एंड नेवी के डिसीजन से बदलते हैं कि हमें इस एरिया में अटैक नहीं करना है, या फिर वो एक डिसीजन पे नहीं आ पा रहे हैं दोनों के चीफ्स, तो फिर क्या करें? 2019 में ये रैंक कॉमन चीफ ऑफ ऑल द थ्री आर्म फोर्सेस, चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ क्रिएट की गई, ताकि जो भी डिसीजन रह सके, अगर तीनों के बीच कंफ्लिक्ट हो रहा हो तो फाइनल डिसीजन सीडीएस के बीच रहे। अभी तक दो ही सीडीएस बने एज वी नो। फर्स्ट सीडीएस, General Bipin Rawat, who died in a helicopter crash. It was very sad in December 2020 or 21, I think. Current CDS who was appointed in, just have to check the date. I have to check. Was appointed at the tenure. I failed to add the tenure. Tenure is of 3 years. The current CDS is Lieutenant General. He's retired. This can't be forgotten. He's a retired Lieutenant General. Who is it? Anil Chauhan. Lieutenant General Anil Chauhan. Chief of the Forces. Now, Chief of the Forces is much important as we discussed about the mottos of all the forces. So this becomes important also. Let's revise this. Army, Seva Paramo Dharma, service before self. Navy, Shamna Varuna, may the god of water, lord of water be auspicious on us. Air Force, touch the sky with glory. Now I recognize the term touch the sky with glory. It's a motto of Indian Air Force. It's service before self, and it's may, for Navy it's may the god of water be auspicious on us. This is the mottos. These are very important and are asked in many competitive exams. Chief of Forces, let's discuss Army. The recently made General Manoj Pandey. He, before him, who was the general? He was General Manoj Mukund Narvane, sorry. Manoj Mukund Narvane, and he'll also publish a new book written by him. Actually, the biography, I think so. It is 4 stars of destiny. Now, Air Force, it's Air Chief Marshal Vivek Ram Chaudhary. For Navy, we have Admiral Radha Krishnan. Sorry, I failed to pronounce the name. Admiral Radha Krishnan Hari Kumar is the Chief of Navy. Let's again discuss it. For Army, we have General Manoj Pandey replacing General Manoj Mukund Narvani, and his book is also coming. 4 Stars of Destiny. Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Vivek Ram Chaudhary. Navy, we have Admiral Radha Krishnan Hari Kumar. Okay, thank you. अगर अच्छा लगा, लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब।